Hello, everybody, and welcome to episode 2 of the CIR files. I'm Joe Kester, and this is the video series where I'll be talking about the JET program and what it's like to be a CIR. So, for this episode, I thought I'd talk about the JET application process. But before I do that, I want to talk a little bit about my personal history with the JET program and how I came to learn about it. So it all started about 4 years ago when I was a sophomore at the University of Maine. At that time, I had been taking a little bit of Japanese, studying on my own. I learned mainly hiragana and katakana up to that point. And I remember seeing flyers around asking for conversation partners for students who had just come over from Hirosaki University in Japan on a special 3-week class to learn English. So I immediately volunteered. I thought it'd be, a great experience. It'd be a chance to, meet with Japanese people and all that. And so I ended up having a really great time. And basically, it was that experience that inspired me to study abroad. And in my time studying and researching to study abroad, I came across the JET program. Uh, At this time, I was really into podcasting, so the first thing I did once I started researching about studying abroad was to search Japan on podcasts. And one of the very first ones that I came across was a podcast series called Guzen Media Japan and English Teaching in Japan by Chaz Wright. In these podcasts, he talked about his experiences of being on JET, offered advice to upcoming JET uh, applicants and participants, and generally shared his experience of being a teacher in Japan. So it was from him that I learned of the JET program. So after that, I started looking more and more into it, and I found that there's a lot of videos done by JET participants right here on YouTube. So I started watching a lot of them, and I thought I'd go through a couple right now. Certainly the biggest one on the internet, on YouTube, is Jason over at My Argonauts. He's easily the #1 guy to go to for any type of jet-related information. His videos are a really big help in the application and interview process. After that, there's Travel for Wit, who had a really great video on the interview process, and he had a lot of really great slice of life videos. Then there's Constantine in Tokyo, and she's an ALT on a small island off of Tokyo, and she had some really good videos too about the application and the interview process. She has really good videos from her time living in Japan. Next, there's DW81, who had a lot of great videos from when he first got to Japan as a jet. But since then, he hasn't done too many videos lately, but his first set of videos are really helpful and really insightful into the getting set up and starting as a jet. And then finally, there's Roger Swan, who you may or may not know was a really big Japanese, J-vlogger, who unfortunately died this past year. Um, but before he did about a series of about 20 or so videos of his time being a ALT in Iwate under the video series title Iwate Swan. So those are some really good videos to check out if you're interested in the JET program for sure. So I thought now I would go on to the application process. So basically, the application is done totally online. There's no paper involved whatsoever until you actually go to send it to them. So the application for me in America went online in October of last year, October 2009. So basically you sign up, you go in, and you start filling out the various sections of the application. So I thought I'd just go through quickly the different parts of the application right here. Excuse me while I click around on my computer. So the first thing you have is personal data. You'll just be putting in things like your name, what position are you applying for, ALT, CIR, what's your nationality, hometown, etc. Then you'll have accompaniment. That's if you're bringing any spouses or children to you with you over to Japan. Then you have academic specialization, where if you have where you can put down what type of degree you have, since a degree is necessary to be on the JET program. Then you can put, if you have a placement request. For me, I put down Hirosaki and Aomori, since that's where I studied abroad. Then you have contact information. This is where you would put down things like your home address, email address. Then higher education, and this is where you'll put in more details about your schooling. You'll be able to put the name of your school. They'll have a college code for it, most likely, that you can look up. The dates you attended, the major you received. And then you have a section for prior experience, and this is probably a very important one. This is where you can put any previous teaching experience or cultural experiences, international experience, tutoring experience, anything that can fit in a category like that. Then there's Japan-related studies. This is where you can put down any classes you've taken related to Japan, or Japanese culture, or language. Then you have a miscellaneous section where you can put down any type of honors or scholarships you've received, any awards. And then finally a medical assessment form. So besides the application, though, there are two other parts that you have to worry about. The first one is your letters of recommendation. You need 2 letters of recommendation to apply for JET, and these can be from anybody like a boss or a teacher, someone who knows you well, who can vouch for you. In my case, since I was still an undergraduate student, I needed at least one of my letters of recommendation to come from someone who works at the university, and I ended up picking the coordinator of the International Programs Department. International Programs Department, excuse me. And then finally, you have the statement of purpose, and this is the big one, where you have the opportunity to write basically an essay describing what makes you qualified and how you can, and through this you can bring across parts of you that probably wouldn't otherwise show through in the application. So you definitely want to spend a lot of time on your statement of purpose. Make sure it's really tight, perfect grammar, all that, since you probably are more than likely applying for a position where English skills are highly necessary, either as a English teacher or like I am as a CIR, where I'll probably end up doing some translation and they'll want proper translation. So then, after you finish up with your application, you are going to have your interview. So the interview takes place a couple weeks, months rather, after you put in for your application. So you send away your application, and then a couple weeks later you will receive back a little piece of paper that has your name and a number on it. And basically a few months later you'll be able to go online and check if that number is on a list that they put out. And if your name is on that list, that your number is on that list, then congratulations, you've been accepted for an interview. So the interview takes place, well, it took place for me this past year in February, and I had it down in Boston at the consulate. I remember being really, really nervous. It was my first time taking a job interview. So I went down, I changed in the car, I bought a whole new suit and everything. So I don't want to talk too much about the interview, though. I'm going to save that for another video, but I'll just say that it went really, really well. And yeah, I thought it's definitely very stressful, but it was a very rewarding and thorough interview in the end, I thought. So I think that will do it for this vlog of this episode of the CIR files. So I'll be seeing you guys again next time. Alright, later.